Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 4th of August. Well, we keep bouncing around right between the ABM yellow and 100% line, and still no threat of anything dire given what we're seeing here from NBI weight, as well as the magenta still being above 33 and all that. So normal fluctuations, acceptable. And even when we look at a DOC, fine, we've been seeing cyan riding a high over it, but we're in a full reset here with DOC red and green. And so a turnaround move on that part and improvement in shakeout from the NASDAQ, and they're right back all set for a new buy setup at highs. And so it's the beauty of being able to see those complete resets, which a lot of people think everything's still just overbought. It's like, well, no, it's not overbought. There's plenty of recalibration that took place, and there's plenty of available resources. So no, not overbought, despite the fact that that's the constant mantra. From a gold standpoint, just softening a bit. Probably expect a little bit more of that again. When you see the numbers of migrants moving into the U.S. and that the amount of pressure on labor to the upside is going to be limited. Particularly an unskilled category, and then also the talk of lockdowns, again, going to limit growth, or at least potential plans, which that's sometimes even more as a psychology. And so that puts a big damper on the idea of runaway inflation, which is exactly what the Fed wants, to be able to control that context. And from a euro standpoint, not a whole lot right here. I mean, we should get some more weakness out of this. It's already beyond elevated for what's been going on. From a Bitcoin standpoint, again, we just keep playing between these algorithm levels that were pre-established quite some time ago. This latest dip was coming off we have these positive extremes right here. If you can see the little red dot below, 38,235, right down there. And sure enough, filled that beautifully. And that's how simple that gets. Of course, we have the whole run that took place from the bounce, which was all on positive extremes. So from the low standpoint there, 34.5 is the potential. But it could be a while before you get there, especially since you could have bounces back and forth within the range for quite some time. That's typical. From an intraday standpoint, it was not that much action overall. We went to the peak there. This was pretty modest. This was mostly because of positive extremes, filling positive extremes. It's definitely an exception I want to work in there, is because when you get a positive extreme on a dip, run like this where it was just resurface, usually you get the fill of that, and then you start your next leg back up. And in this particular case, when that happened though, we had NBI breaking down along with the white over the red. You can see that the white did not get over it from here, but once it finally did there, and the break below 33 level, it happened a couple of bars earlier, but that led to cascade to the lows, and then a little bit further. And in fact, this dark cyan shouldn't read, because whenever you get that red NBI leading above magenta, even if it's over white, you tend to not have successful turnaround moves. Just worth noting. Keep going back and forth, because when I look at it from the other code standpoint, if I put that one up, we get these little battles in between. And so I'm trying to find the optimal zone of, being conservative while not being too conservative, while still allowing for runs, but also recognizing when the potential for a shift is there. So as I keep battling with that, the 2A still captures a big chunk of everything. And that's until I get one that's actually more profound and perfect. Stick with it as it is. And that's all we can do with that setup. Currently, right now, we're in a weak patch right here, but the white's dipping below right now magenta with the rise of red, but hasn't crossed back above. So we'll see if it's able to do that. But shakeout looking pretty negative on DOC spread, so potentially I would expect it would come back down to that 50% level. As always, though, I will keep updating the Skype chat and put up charts as relevant details come about. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.